So here we have a 2003 Ferrari 360 Spyder. This one is blue on tan leather. And this one's pretty much, for me, don't know too much about the vehicle, but it does have a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, made it to a 6-speed automated manual transmission. That gives us 400 horsepower, 276 pound-feet of torque. And this one just has around 8,000 miles on it, so pretty low for it to be a 2003. For the front end there, we do have the high intensity discharge headlamps. You can see one of them has gone out. And with a vehicle this old, it's kind of one of those things where you have to keep, I mean, maintenance can be expensive on these as it is, but certain things can be expensive when they do actually go out, like headlamps. Here we have the 18-inch aluminum wheels. And I'm just gonna give you a quick look. This is how we open the door there. And then power driver's seat. We can lean this up. And that's kind of gone out there. And then we have storage behind. And then speaking of which, this button over here, I'll show you what this is. This is for the gas cap. This is to open the front trunk. This is to pull the soft top back. And then this is for the storage compartment here. It's just a release. And then you can close that back manually. So the reason I don't have the top down is because we've been having technical difficulties with that. So that's why it's up right now. So I apologize for that, but I've been trying to do this for about 20-30 minutes. I cannot get that top to go down correctly. But there's the rear end. Listen to that exhaust. So huge shout out to Auto Collection of Murfreesboro for allowing me to review this vehicle. I'll definitely make sure we get that top fixed. But here's our front passenger seat. And I literally just had somebody come over here as a police officer. I thought I was gonna get in trouble, but he literally just wanted to come over and look at this thing because you don't see these every day. Some people don't see these in their entire lifetime, so I'm so glad I was able to take a look at this one in particular. I'm gonna go ahead and get that hood open. But just a super fun car to be able to take a look at today. And I had a little issue getting this up, but now I kind of know where the latch is. Make sure that's all the way up. It just bumped me in the head when I tried to do this the first time. But here we have all the books and such. I mean, it still has everything, which is fantastic. It probably has some expensive service records in there as well, but we won't dwell on that. And that's the aftermarket radio that's in this one in particular. And then with your suitcase, you can have that kind of strapped up here. And a nice little, ow, my head. But again, just a super fun car to be able to review here. I'm gonna hop in the driver's seat. And just how this format's set up, I've been hitting the gas pedal on accident. I'm 6'3", and my head isn't necessarily touching the roof of the ceiling, but it's pretty close. There's the horn for that. Paddle shifters are behind the steering wheel. And then we can toggle the sport mode, a few other things there. There's the radio. And then we have the buttons for the power windows. So they're just one touch up and down for the driver's side, and then just a regular power window for the front passenger, which is interesting. But we do get automatic climate control, so we can set that to auto for fan speed, auto for fan direction, then we can adjust the actual temperature here, whether we're in the manual mode or the automatic mode, and we can cut everything off hitting that button. Now, I do want to mention one thing. I made a short for this because it's pretty interesting. When you put the key in the ignition, because it is a turn key, this one has the alarm, so you put the key in the ignition when it's unlocked, you click it, and I think it beeps twice, or it's kind of iffy. You just got to do it. So you stick the key in the ignition, don't turn it, hit the button, and then you turn it, and it should crank up. Otherwise, it'll just sit there almost in like a limp mode, and it'll just turn over, but it won't actually start up. So there are a couple videos online for that. And like I said, I'm going to put one on there as well for those that might have an issue starting this up. But of course, we start out in neutral when we start the vehicle, and to put it in gear, you just hit that paddle shifter there, foot on the brake, and then to put it back into neutral, you grab both paddles and you can do it that way. And then for reverse, hit the brake, pull up, pull down. That'll put you in a reverse there. And then you can also hit the auto mode, and then it'll shift for you, and you don't have to necessarily use the paddle shifters. I gotta do this again, hold on. But power mirror controls are here. You can pick it right side, left side, and adjust hazards. And then we do have the cigarette lighter there. And our parking lights there, I believe. Emergency brake. And again, this is for the gas cap, the front trunk, for the soft top, and then for that storage compartment. We can close all that up there. We can set these lights. Just a super cool car to be able to look at here again. But that pretty much sums it up. Not much going on in the interior, but now for the fun part, let's go ahead and take this 2003 Ferrari 360 Spyder out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in this 360 Spyder, oh my gosh, this thing is screaming. I'm gonna put it in the auto mode now. Oh, this is crazy. I love Ferraris anyway, but just being in this 360 Spyder, it's just nuts how this F1 transmission shifts. Absolutely insane. And I did forget to mention earlier, the windshield wiper controls are down here. So to activate those, you can kind of just turn the knob there for the intermittent, and then you can kind of pull down and pull back up to turn on and turn off the wipers. And I always feel like with the F1 transmission in the Ferraris, it's always about to give out, but it's just so fun how these feel like a true manual transmission. And I'm sorry about the viewpoint if it's kind of hard to see. I am pretty tall, and this roof line with the convertible top and everything is kind of in the way, so I'm just doing my best here. And you just don't get enough of hearing this exhaust, the engine, just the whole package here, even the wind noise, everything just feels so Ferrari. And I've only driven about 3 or 4 in my lifetime, but I think they've all been convertibles actually. So I mean, still, that's just what I equate to driving a Ferrari to being, just having a nice loud interior. Now, one thing I find interesting is all of these gauges are pretty much analog, except for you have the graphic down here, which I don't know what it does, where the top's kind of messed up. That's all I've been seeing. And then you can see where the gear changes are. That's digital. And then you have the trip meter there. And then randomly in the bottom right corner, the fuel gauge is digital, which if anything, I would have wanted that to be analog and maybe one of these be digital, but hey, it's whatever. Just my opinion. And it is nuts that this is a 2003 360 Spyder with 8,000 miles on it. I just can't get over that. And knock on wood, no lights are on here. But just such a fantastic machine. Once this top gets fixed, this is gonna be something to treasure, I tell you. So I'm gonna try and give this thing a little throttle and loop it back around. I always get scared getting behind the wheels of Ferraris because I always feel like I'm gonna get stalled out on the side of the road with these transmissions. I don't know why, but they start to randomly beep at you. This one in particular just kind of randomly beeped at me, and I have no idea why. And of course, I still have that soft top indicator there. So hopefully it's just something that's more of a nuance and not necessarily something that I'd want to get fixed immediately. But I'll tell you one thing, people do appreciate this car. I'm gonna put in the auto mode again. And then we're gonna give it a little throttle again on the interstate here momentarily. one thing you have to admire about a Ferrari is it sounds fantastic, and this thing is just, sounds so good. And the funny thing is, with minimal effort, in this auto mode, I'm actually surprised with how this didn't have to downshift to just start pulling away. And you got to hear the menacing growl from the exhaust. What does kind of, it's a good thing and a bad thing depending on if you had one of these or not. I feel like I remember these back in the day being like 60 or 70 grand used, but now they're like classics. So the price is going back up. Now this one, with the mileage and with it being a Spyder, is pretty competitively priced, I think. I think it's like 110. And I've seen some crazy numbers out there, pretty much on all exotics, but I mean, to have a classic car like this, especially one that has miles as low as this one does, not a bad price at all. To have something that's as timeless as this Ferrari 360 Spyder. And like I said, I'm getting looks left and right. People are honking at me when I was reviewing the car. The police literally came and had to take a look at it because it's just such a timeless vehicle. It's just, that's the best way to put it. Yeah, driving this thing just, I feel like it wouldn't get old. What's crazy is you have a V8 with a relatively, I mean, it's a 3.6 liter V8, so one of the lower liters out there. I mean, you're used to seeing 4 liters and then twin turbo V8s that are 4 liters. You just, I mean, Nissan makes a 3.8 liter V6. Gotta watch these potholes, but just the way this car is made, it's just so much fun driving this thing. And what's wild is you get 400 horsepower and you have that 276 pound-feet of torque, but really, I mean, it's the perfect, I think, kind of cruising power setup here. So I'm guessing in the auto mode where it is, it's weird having these automated manuals, and I feel like Ferrari is one of the few manufacturers that you actually have this in, especially with like a dual clutch setup. But when I'm in first, it throws itself into neutral when I stop, and then I have to like put it back into gear. And I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's more of a safety thing, but honestly, you just kind of get used to it. The same thing like when you put these things into gear, you start it up, you're in neutral, then you just have to hit the first paddle to actually get it in drive. So kind of strange, but it's Italian. But all in all, everything in this one, again, this is an 8,000 mile example, which is nuts. But everything, like the leather feels fantastic. Everything looks to be in the perfect shape. Just very, very nice. And you know, things like the soft top, that'll happen. It probably something was kind of folded wrong or whatever. That's just how convertible tops are in general. But once that's fixed, I mean, you have a pretty impeccable, again, example here with this Ferrari 360. And before we're done, I'm gonna give it one good pull in auto. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2003 Ferrari 360 Spyder.